Welcome to Oulton Park in the heart of the countryside in Cheshire. It's the 2022 TCR UK Championships first weekend. Massive grids, amazing media coverage. The racing is going to be fantastic. I'm here with Stuart Lines, the Championship Manager of TCR UK. You must be the proudest man on earth at the minute. How many cars have you got today? Unreal.
Well, we started with 26 on Friday, but we've actually got 24 starting, so we lost a couple due to things happening on Fridays, don't they? You know that. I don't know whether I'm relieved. We've climbed the mountain, and it's down to the people around the team, the people that supported us, sponsors, people who bought into the job, and it's hopefully this is the start of the new TCR.
It's not just you that's put the effort in, the whole team. There's a lot of people behind TCR UK and behind yourself and with you as well, your wife Nikki. Who else is involved in getting this off the ground and making sure that it gets the numbers it deserves?
Basically, it was just me and Nikki. There's no secret formula. We used to sit at home, and the people will probably say, "Oh no, that Stuart Lines is ringing me again." We did harass a few people, but the main problem in the early days, there wasn't many cars in the UK. There were 6 cars when we took it over total in the UK. Now there's 60. So we've got a bit more of a captive audience. Then we started buying cars ourselves, second-hand cars, because people don't want to travel to the other side of Europe to buy a car. They'd rather. Birmingham's close enough, isn't it? So if they can get one from Birmingham, they'll do it. But the thing is, it does sell the job, and people underestimate it. They underestimate the actual cars themselves. The cars, you've driven one. They're bulletproof. They're reliable. You just put fuel in and you go racing, and that's what people want.
And they are great cars to drive, like you say. I've driven a lot of them. Fantastic cars to drive, very rewarding. Good for the young kids coming through to drive the cars. But tell me a little bit about the budget that probably people don't know about. They expect motorsport to be expensive. I'm quite surprised actually how much it costs to run one of these cars for the year.
Me and yourself have been in British touring cars, and it's difficult to be on that grid. The costs involved are astronomical. But I thought, well, surely there should be a place where people can go racing that's affordable, and it's accessible for drivers that are never going to get on a BTC grid. So I thought that if we can cap it at £100,000, but it's around about, arrive and drive's about 85 grand. If you own your own car, you could probably run yourself for about 60 grand, which, it's kind of like somewhere, it's not even in between. If you want to win at BTC, you've got to spend £500,000. There's a lot of drivers out there that are super quick, but they're never going to get the opportunity. But hopefully TCR will give them that opportunity now.
So TCR as a brand around the world as well, they must be very proud of what you're doing here in the UK. It's off the ground, properly running now, so they must be really happy as well.
Well, I've been told by the hierarchy that we're the biggest grid now, and our next round at Donington, there's 5 or 6 drivers who haven't decided to miss this round and are going to be there. Hopefully we'll get 30 cars at Donington because it's a popular place anyway. But we're definitely the biggest grid in the world now for TCR.
Perfect. Well, it all sounds good to me. I'm hoping for a good weekend for the first one at Oulton, so let's wait and see what happens, eh?
Yeah, fingers crossed. We all know what Oulton's all about, and let's just hope no one tries to win the race on turns 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe for the first 3 laps, so we can have a good, clean race. Thank you.
Top man, spot on. We're ready to rock and roll here at Oulton Park for the first race of the day in the TCR UK Championship. Let's see how the pole sitter behind me, Chris Smiley, gets on, and the rest of the grid, and how they line up with Jake Sanson.
So Chris Smiley banged out the pole position lap just by 0.2 of a second in front of Isaac Smith. Bruce Winfield on the second row of the grid with Max Hart alongside him. Last year's champion, Lewis Kent, will be there in 5th position alongside Adam Shepherd. Row 4 of the grid, Rob Butler alongside Callum Newsham. That'll be an interesting lineup to go to turn 1. And then Jessica Hawkins lines up alongside the younger of the Whittam Kent brothers, Bradley Kent. B11 is Jack Constable. He will be there on the inside line alongside Brad Hutchinson. And then Antwort Niels will be in 13th on the grid alongside Jack Depper. Jamie Tonks will go alongside Andy Wilmot. They'll share the 8th row of the grid as they try and charge through the field. Matthew Wilson will be in P17 alongside the youngest man on the grid, Scott Sumpton. Row 10 is Daryl Wilson. He's alongside Russell Joyce in the Seat Cupra. And then 21st on the grid, Kieran Griffin, who lines up beside the VW Golf of Steve Gales. The final two men on the grid, Simon Tomlinson on the inside and Chris Wallace in the i30N. So the voice isn't quite what it should be, but fortunately I have Andy McEwen alongside me.
Hopefully you'll be able to stick with it, Jake, because the racing certainly is going to get you very excited over the next few minutes. Round number 1 of the championship, there is Lewis Kent, the double reigning champion, starting 5th on the grid. Revs starting to rise then as we prepare for a new dawn of racing in the TCR UK Championship. Lights out, away we go. Jack Constable with a really, really good start from outside the top 10, shoots the gap up the middle and already is making progress as they race towards Old Hall Corner for the first time. Through the right-hander they go. Looks like Chris Smiley holds on to the early advantage in the race lead, but back in the pack, Jake, it is every man and woman for themselves.
Indeed it is, and Ward Niels is already trying to sort out Jess Hawkins as they run down towards Cascades. They've got to be so careful on that inside line. The tyres will still be a little cold and has got the move there, and Jess Hawkins runs a little wide in the area Cupra. So that could have been a nasty moment for her, but she manages to save it. Oh, goodness me. On the run down to the Shellows hairpin, that was a bit of a wobble in the middle of the field. Steve Gales appears to have picked up a 10-second penalty. That comes from the car still being on the jacks on the grid.
Oh dear, not the ideal start to the season for the Audi driver, and another Audi in strife there. That's Brad Hutchinson, sideways and slow, and also one of the Golfs. That might have been the Irishman Rob Butler. Yes, you can see Rob Butler is slowing at the top of the screen, so Butler looks like he's out of the race, and Brad Hutchinson in difficulty as well. It almost looked, Jake, like something broke at the back of the blue and black Audi. That's a real shame for one of a few mini challenge graduates entering into the championship this year.
Absolutely right. Brad Hutchinson has parked the car at the side of the road, so that is game over for one man. There it is, the Audi RS3 has come to a stop. At least it's parked at a marshal post, so that's not going to be too much of a difficulty, but certainly for Rob Butler, that is a very difficult start to the race season as well. It's always difficult the first race out of the blocks, trying to make sure you've got a decent car underneath you, but there is Chris Smiley. Got the pole position by almost a quarter of a second. He only actually took ownership of this car last week, so he's got very little track time and he is out there in the lead.
Yeah, very last minute deal, but what a welcome addition to the grid, Chris Smiley, with his years of touring car experience. Kieran Griffin there, another driver with experience in front-wheel drive tin-top racing, on the inside of Daryl Wilson, who's in his 5th season of racing in TCR UK, still as enthusiastic as ever.
Well, there is Rob Butler getting out of the VW Golf. That is a real shame, and unfortunately, his season, well, the first race of it, doesn't even last half a lap. He's parked up at Knickerbrook, and that is very much a frustrating start. So Smiley trying to get away from Smith and Hart. 3 teams in the top 3 positions. A fascinating start to the season already then, but Max Hart is going to put Isaac Smith under massive pressure as they go through the Shellows hairpin and up towards the chicane. This is where things are going to get very interesting. Lewis Kent, a good performance from him so far, got himself back up into 4th position. Bit of a lock-up from Isaac Smith as we now watch Bradley Kent in front of us, and Antwort Niels is going to make light work. Has Brad Kent got a problem now? I think he might have.
Well, that would not surprise me one bit, because Bradley Kent's had nothing but issues, mechanically speaking, with that Hyundai so far this weekend. Now, what happened to Brad Hutchinson? This is on lap 1. The car snapped sideways. There was contact from the Subaru there of Antwort Niels, but I think, Jake, that happened after the Audi hit trouble. Speaking of hitting trouble, that is not the ideal line through Cascades for Adam Shepherd.
My goodness, that was a proper airborne moment there. I think he thinks he's Tony Hawk's for a moment. A big moment there, but manages to get the car back onto the road again at least. But certainly for Shepherd, that was a very nasty moment indeed. Now, this is the battle for 5th position. Nice little tussle going on behind Lewis Kent, and Bruce Winfield, who was the vice champion last year, is now still in the top 5. He's never really out of it these days, but he's got a lot of pressure from Messrs Newsham and Constable, who are definitely going to give him plenty of assault as they come up over Dearly and onto the start-finish straight once again into Old Hall Corner. Callum Newsham, who has plenty of experience running at the front end of a tin-top race, is going to be challenging to try and get up to the podium. But look at the gap that's already opened up.
Yeah, certainly the top three escaping, but not escaping from each other, so still a close race at the front. And then this trio, as you mentioned, Bruce Winfield, in his second season in the championship, twice a winner last year. He's got Callum Newsham breathing down his neck, but it's Jack Constable, winner here at Alton Park last season, who gets the better exit from Cascades, gets to the inside of Newsham, and in the end, Callum, realising it's the first race of the season perhaps, not wanting to take too many risks, lets him go through. So Constable up another position, that's 6th place, and now he sets off after Bruce Winfield, who, as I said, in his second year in the championship, but his first year not in a DSG gearbox car. Expect him to get quicker as the year goes on.
They are really flirting with these curbs and track limits, aren't they? Max Hart managed to get a little bit more grass than curb on the way through the chicane that time by, as he really pushes now to try and make his way closer to the back bumper of Isaac Smith. Great to see Chris Smiley, who was transferred to the TCR UK Championship for 2022. We mentioned earlier on they only took ownership of the car last week. They actually drove it, he and his dad, all the way from Italy to make sure it was ready for Alton Park.
Yeah, sharing the driving duties. I believe his father may have done a few more miles than Chris on the way back from Italy, but Chris sparing himself for the racing this weekend, I'm sure. He needs to be on it, he needs to be awake and alert, and he clearly is, because he's just started to eke out this small margin over Isaac Smith, the very confident youngster who is now got one of the more experienced drivers on the grid bearing down on him. Max Hart, former runner-up in the championship, in 3rd.
I mean, you say they shared the driving duties. I would not at all be surprised if Chris Smiley did about 400 of the miles and his dad did the other 3,000. Never mind. This is going to get a little bit heated now. Max Hart definitely closing up on Isaac Smith. Down into the braking zone. Chuck through the left-hander. Keeping the car nice and central, because you don't want to get too much curb on that inside line, because it really can spit the car into a spin. But Chris Smiley just keeping that car enough of a gap in front of Smith to be a little bit comfortable for the moment. Kent P4, Winfield still 5th, then Constable, Newsham, Wharton-Eales, Jez Hawkins, and Adam Shepherd in P10, who is currently on the course for the reverse grid pole. Max Hart sets the fastest lap, so he is pushing the barrier. Is he going to get to P2?
Well, Max Hart certainly pushing on to get into that 2nd place. Again, liberal use of the curb and the grass going through the Britain chicane, and that just gives him a bit more momentum coming over Hilltop, down towards Hislops, weaves to the inside. Isaac Smith moves across to the middle of the road to defend, reacting there to the movement in his mirrors from Max Hart. And Jake, as this battle starts to intensify, so Chris Smiley begins to escape.
Well, this is exactly what Chris Smiley wants. He needs the opportunity to pull clear, and Wharton-Eales is making his car as wide as a Buick at the moment, because Jez Hawkins is really stepping up the attack. She has an opportunity here to get into 8th position. However, she might also want to stick it out in 9th position, because she could start the 2nd race from the front row of the starting grid. And let's not forget that the last woman, the only woman to win a touring car race at national level, was Ellen Law back in the DTM 30 years ago. So there's an opportunity here for Jez Hawkins. However, she's going to have her work cut out for her, because Shepherd is really piling on the pressure. Hawkins trying to go right round the outside of Wharton-Eales. And there is not going to be enough width for the two cars to go side by side out of Dearly. But this is going to be a tough defensive line. Shepherd is going to get alongside, and he will have the inside run for the first corner. Up into Old Hall, and Shepherd is through. Hawkins will have to regroup.
Yeah, 9th place now for Shepherd, and immediately on the attack, trying to snatch 8th away from Ant Wharton-Eales. It's great just to see Ant out there in the Subaru. That car's been plagued with pre-season mechanical issues, including this weekend through testing. Managed to qualify mid-grid though, and look at him, he's racing up into the top 10. Can he hang on to 8th place though? Shepherd all over him coming out of Cascades corner. The Hyundai driver in his first appearance in TCR UK. Shepherd was actually the fastest man at the pre-season test at Brands Hatch. We know he's quicker than 10th place, but it's hard to pass here at Alton Park. He's going to have to get inventive here.
17 minutes on the clock, and this is where Ant Wharton-Eales' skills can really come into play. He was one of the stars of the short oval circuit, so he knows how to keep a car behind him. This is going to be very difficult. Oh, they're using so much of the curb and a little bit of the grass too as they come off the chicane. Up and over the top of the crest once more, down to the braking zone for Knickerbrook. Shepherd looking one way, looking another. He's going to draw level at the braking zone, but again, that Subaru ever present. And Wharton-Eales is not going to concede anything he doesn't have to.
Yeah, and Wharton-Eales' car seems okay out of the corners, but then maybe lacking a bit of top speed. Now, what's our favourite Irishman, Max Hart, been getting up to? Very, very, very wide out of Cascades, bounces over the grass, loses ground to Isaac Smith. It's not quite as wide as Shepherd went down there a few laps ago, but you can see the momentum that cost him.
So easy to do here as well. You don't have an awful lot of room to fool around with at Alton Park. Here's Antwerp Niels again, and there goes Shepherd alongside, around the outside. Can he hold the space as they come up towards Deerleap? They're going to bang doors nearly. Antwerp Niels is just going to have to concede. He has to let him go, but he'll still have the inside line for Old Hall, so he might be able to get him back again, which he does. But round the outside, Shepherd has plenty of grip to sustain the overtake up into 8th position. Lovely move from Shepherd.
Yeah, Adam Shepherd, former champion in Honda Civic racing, so he knows how to get his elbows out in close competition. So too does Ant, but at the moment, I think the Hyundai just a bit quicker, and Shepherd already starts to pull away. Now, what can Jess Hawkins do? There was almost a gap on the inside down the island, down the Lakeside Straight, but that door was well and truly slammed in her face by Antwerp Niels, who holds on to 9th place. This, as you said, would be the front row at the moment for race 2. The top 10 finishers from this race get reversed to form the starting grid for the second race. Neither driver thinking about that right now, though. They want the points, they want the track position, they want to finish as well as they can in this first race of the season. Up through the British chicane they go. Hawkins looking to get the better traction. She's got it. She's going to try and drag alongside here, but Antwerp Niels knows the attack is coming. Pulls to the inside. Hawkins so much quicker down the straight. There's contact over the crest of the hill, but Hawkins is through to 9th.
Nice from Jess Hawkins. Let's not forget that she is no pushover, one of the top British karters of her generation several years ago now. W Series racer, Aston Martin F1 development driver, and of course a stunt driver in the last couple of James Bond movies. So she is not going to be pushed around by anyone. That was a fabulous bit of racecraft from Jess Hawkins just to squeeze across at the braking zone. Now let's have a look and see what's happening again between these two. We've got Antwerp Niels. There was actually contact, but Jess Hawkins absolutely determined to get through. Elbows out, no questions asked about that move at all. Now something is happening with Andy Wilmot. Oh my goodness, it looks like his race is over.
Yeah, that's down at the Knickerbrook chicane. There looks to be damage, I think, on the right front corner of the Hyundai. So Andy Wilmot, who's just bought this car, he's not quite got to grips with it yet. Let's see what happened, though. Jamie Tonks in the other area motorsport with Fast R Cupra ahead into Knickerbrook corner. Bang!
Oh.
Tyre stack. What a shame. Such an easy mistake to make, and you can see the damage that those tyres have done.
That was only maybe an inch over the limit there, and that really does completely destroy the right front corner of Andy Wilmot's car. That's going to be a big job to get that ready for race 2, because that went in at some speed. So this is not going to be easy. Now Winfield is going to get up alongside Lewis Kent. These two were racing wheel to wheel last year. Nothing's changed a year on, and Winfield is going to lean on him as they go flat out through the left-hander. Excellent work from Winfield. He gets in front of Lewis Kent, and now that is 4th position for the vice champion. He takes on the reigning champion, and what can Lewis Kent do with only a minute and a half on the clock?
Yeah, that will have felt really good for Bruce Winfield, who couldn't quite pip Lewis to the championship last year. New cars for them both, of course. Gone is the DSG Cupra for Winfield. A completely new car, though, for Lewis Kent. The first ever Hyundai Veloster to race in European TCR competition. Apparently, Hyundai approached Essex and Kent Motorsport, asked them to run the car, and they were only too happy to do so. A stunning looking car, and I think once that team get on top of the setup and the handling of the Veloster, it's going to be a race winner for sure.
It's definitely going to take a little bit more time, but they've got their homework to do, and they're going to do it in absolutely fantastic fashion. So Antwerp Niels has dropped away from the race, unfortunately, after his little contretemps with Jess Hawkins. And Antwerp Niels is going to have to do all of his hard work in race 2 to try and get that Subaru back up the order again. He retired shortly before Andy Wilmot did. So Chris Smiley out in front from Hart and Smith. And as they come across the line, there's half a minute, so this is going to be the last lap.
Yeah, so Max Hart up into 2nd place then, ahead of Isaac Smith. The youngster just falling backwards a little bit here towards the end of the race, but still on course for a really impressive podium in his maiden TCR UK race. It's just separating a bit here between Winfield and Kent. Jack Constable, if the race had been a couple of laps longer, may have had half a chance of 5th place. Look, though, what is looming on the horizon. This battle ain't over yet. There's traffic on the way, and Jake, catching traffic at the wrong point at this circuit can cost you a huge chunk of time.
It certainly is, and it's something that Isaac Smith actually has a fair bit of experience of. He used to race in Fiesta Junior and Senior, so obviously you're dealing with multiple classes of car at differing braking and entry speeds, so Isaac Smith might be able to pick something up here. if Max Hart were to make an error, but at the moment there is 2 seconds between them, and it looks as though they have dealt with the traffic efficiently enough that Max Hart should be comfortable in second place. But as you can see, Winfield is going to close up on the 2 men in front. That is Simon Tomlinson battling away with Kieran Griffin. So the 2 of them are obviously going to have a very interesting race of it all the way to the flag. No problems at all to get past Griffin though for Winfield. So he chops up into 4th position. But this man, Chris Smiley, has done exactly the business he needed to do. He had to run at the front of the field, look after the car, get himself a decent enough gap, even with a little bit of loose bodywork. Chris Smiley is going to be able to get the flawless win he was after.
Yeah, out of Lodge Corner comes the popular Irishman then. Race number 1 in TCR UK for Chris Smiley. Win number 1 in the championship, and the early championship lead for Chris Smiley, who crosses the line to take the checkered flag, a second or so clear in the end of Max Hart second, and Isaac Smith in 3rd position. Bruce Winfield a fighting 4th, whilst Lewis Kent only just hangs on to 5th. Jack Constable really rallying against him there in the closing stages.
And crucially, it is going to be Depper in front of Hawkins and Tonks. So that is going to be the reverse grid front row. It'll be Tonks in pole position and Jess Hawkins in P2. So that could make for a very interesting race, 2 grid. Here comes Depper, a very quiet race for him, but 8th position, very good indeed for the Capture Motorsport car. And then Jess Hawkins hanging on in front of the similar TCR of Area Motorsport with Farstar. Chris Smiley gets the job done in front of Hart, Smith and Winfield. Kent, last year's champion, coming home in 5th position. Constable, Newsham and Depper. And then the front row for race 2 is going to be Hawkins and Tonks.
Yeah, so teammates on the front row for race 2. That'll be interesting. Matt Wilson and Adam Shepherd out of the top 10. Not sure what happened to Shepherd, with Darryl Wilson 13th. Scott Sumpton, the 17-year-old, finishes 14th in his first race in the championship, with Russell Joyce rounding out the top 15. What a competitive season opener that was, though. Really looking forward to what race 2 has in store for us coming up a bit later in the day.
We didn't actually have a car until this Tuesday, so for us even to turn up was a big achievement, never mind winning the first race. So yeah, big thanks to Bert Taylor and all the guys who put in such a big effort. You know, for anyone who doesn't know, to set up all the bits and pieces you need to run a race car, never mind win a race, it's an amazing achievement in less than a week. So yeah, to be here is awesome, and the win's even better.
Max Hart, the usual rules, mate. The Hyundai has seen you well after qualifying. I don't think you'd have been that happy, but race was good.
Yeah, certainly not too happy after qualifying. It was good to be first Hyundai, but I would have definitely loved to be a bit further up the grid. And I think that would have given me a bit more of a chance in the race to try catch Chris. But nevertheless, I'm very happy with the result.
We had many issues with the car, to be honest. Like, fuel pressure was really low around the double right-hander, and it lost second for us, to be honest. We should have been chasing Smiley. We was catching him at the start, but once the fuel pressure issue came along, we had no chance.
The smiliest, most happiest, loveliest man, my favourite, Russell Joyce, is here. He's just had a cracking race in the first one of the weekend. You've actually won a trophy as well, mate. So you've won the Goodyear Diamond Trophy, which is for over 40s. I could join you.
Yeah, I hope you don't. But no, it's amazing. And they say, you know, with age comes wisdom, but also it gives eligibility to the Diamond Cup, which I'm really pleased about. So no, I'm wax lyrical. It's fantastic. It's really good.
I've seen you here in testing, and as ever, you know, I make no joke about it. You are a smiley man. You love your motorsport as much as I do. It's a privilege, isn't it, to come and race at these circuits here. But it's not easy, is it, mate? And to win a trophy, there's a lot of good drivers out there.
It's absolutely amazing. You know, Britain has some of the best tracks in the world. They are fantastic. The actual TCR itself is amazing setup. The cars are amazing as well. You know, when I turn up here, I kind of pinch myself, to be honest with you. Looking at some of those people on the tour, you know, on the grid at the moment. There's touring car drivers, GT drivers. There's the up and coming next, you know, champions to be. Lewis and Kent, you know, the 2-time champion, and I'm there. You know, I'm there. I can see them in front of me, and I'm having a go. All weekend, we've learnt about the car. We begin to gel with the car a bit more. The team have been brilliant. You know, they've kind of coaxed me along. I've got Jack Constable, who's a very talented young driver. He's been coaching me as well and helping me. And throughout testing and throughout this weekend, we're going quicker. We went quicker than we did in qualifying. So for me, another box ticked. So to me, it's all about the progress, moving forward, and really enjoying the racing.
And Stuart Lyons has done a great job with this championship, hasn't he? He's got it off the ground now. Good number of cars. But talk us through your relationship with Stuart, because he's probably rang you like everyone else and just not let you go, hasn't he, and said, you've got to join, you've got to join. What's your relationship with Stuart? You know him pretty well.
Understand what you know about my relationship with Stuart. But no, so I started racing 7 years ago. and I was introduced to the Maximum franchise through VAG Trophy, and that was Stu and Nikki, and we worked with them. They're really, really good. They really help you out. I think Stu and Nikki have done a magnificent job basically getting enough TCR cars in the country, first of all, to make them affordable for people to buy them, and that's why we've got a packed grid. It's really down to him really being like a used car supermarket for TCR cars. There was a handful of us that believed in it at the start, me being one of them. As you know, I'm a championship sponsor. I have been from day one with those guys. I believe in what they do, and you know, I'm proud to be a championship sponsor. I started sponsoring a team called Powermax Racing, which is a British touring car team, and they obviously run in other championships as well, doing their liveries and graphics, and they built a car and I got into racing. You know, currently we're wrapping probably 50 cars a year for motorsport, and in this championship I've got about 20% of the cars are wrapped by me. The best looking ones, I might add. But yeah, so for me, I'm proud to see our work on there as well, and support the championship, because I do them a bit of a deal, of course. Unless of course they crash into me, then it goes up. So
that's the best way to think about it, isn't it? Russell Joyce, as always, a pleasure to speak to you, fella. Good luck in the second round, and yeah, let's hope you get some business, and but it's not too much damage of the wrapped cars.
Yeah, let's hope not. Thank you. Cheers.
Well, a big bank holiday crowd have just enjoyed the opening round of the TCR UK season. Down in amongst all the activity is Paul O'Neill. Paul, who have you got?
I'm here with Lewis Kent, the current champion. Also had 2 championships as well, mate. Looking for a third, got a new car. It's all happening, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit more difficult this year, obviously. The first 2 weren't too hard to get. The first one was nice and easy. We went for the overall TCT as well when it was that, but missed out a little bit to Henry. Last year was quite nice. It was still difficult enough. Going into the last round, you had 5 people still fighting for it. But yeah, this year you got some big names coming into it, a lot more cars. You know, we're looking at 30 odd entries, so we'll have to see how the year plans out, and yeah, we're confident.
Yeah, it seems to me like a bit like F1 when you get a new car and you're trying to develop it, but that's not a bad start for you from race 1 here at Alton Park, is it? And what's the new car like, and can it compete for the championship?
It's pretty much 85% the same car as I've driven before, different body shell, and it's a little bit stiffer because it's brand new. Yeah, we haven't actually done a race pace in it yet till the first race just then, so we had a few little teething problems, but as you say, the more the year goes on, we're just going to get quicker and quicker. It is a lot like F1, where the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and the more you figure stuff out. But yeah, as I say, we've had years of experience in it now. We know what we're doing, so we shouldn't have a problem. But yeah, hopefully it all goes well, and the boys I know the boys do their job properly. It's just down to me now.
And with the new car as well, it's nice of Hyundai to ask for yourself and the team to run the car. How did that come about?
Yeah, so last year they said they had a brand new car sitting there. They gave us a deal that we couldn't really turn down. Then a few months later, they decided to turn around and ask me to be a customer racing junior driver as well, which helped out even more. I think they just wanted to spread their sort of brand velocity-wise across the world rather than just keeping it in America. I don't know if that's the plan from them, but yeah, they just asked us if we wanted to run the car this year. So we had to take the opportunity while it was there.
Sounds absolutely perfect. And you touched on the junior side of things. For people at home that might not have heard of you before, or people who have not known anything about your junior category things, what have you been doing to get to where you are now as a double champ?
So yeah, I started racing when I was a very young age. I started when I was only 7. I did non sort of authority type racing down at Red Lodge and Ella Park and places like that, non-MSA as I used to call it. Moved my way up the ranks. By the end of my karting career, I was doing European finals, world finals, super nationals in America. everything I could get my hands on, really. And then made the transition to cars, started in Fiesta Juniors when I was 15, took the leap to seniors when I was only 17, came second in my first year, and then went straight from a Fiesta into this, which was, again, another little bit of a leap. But yeah, it's been a slowish sort of a route to where I am now. But yeah, we've experienced quite a lot in ourselves as a team, and yeah, it's been a fun journey on the way.
Well, you're a double champ, and good luck with battling for that third title, mate, and have a good rest of the day here at Alton.
Thank you very much.
It's time for race 2 action here at Alton Park in the TCR UK series, and the top 10 have been reversed on the grid from race 1 results. That means that this man, Jamie Tonks, is on pole with his teammate Jess Hawkins alongside him, but the rest of the grid will be revealed. It's over to you, Jake Sanson.
And what a front row of the grid it's going to be. It's an area motorsport lockout. Jamie Tonks on the inside, Jess Hawkins on the out. Then Jack Depper and Callum Newsham, they will share the second row of the grid. Jack Constable in P5, Lewis Kent, the reigning champion, is in P6. Then Bruce Winfield alongside Isaac Smith. He'll be wanting a little bit more than P8. And on row 5, it is the man who almost got the win, Max Hart, with the man who did, Chris Smiley. Matthew Wilson goes off 11th place. Alongside him will be Adam Shepherd. Row 7 of the grid will see Darryl Wilson. He'll be P13 alongside that man again, Scott Sumpton. Russell Joyce will come through in 15th on the starting grid. Steve Gales will be alongside him. Simon Tomlinson and Kieran Griffin will most likely renew their battle from race 1. Then it'll be Chris Wallace alongside Andy Wilmot. Hopefully they've got that car fixed. Antwort Niels and Bradley Kent will be the 2 men trying to charge through from the 11th row. And then Rob Butler and Brad Hutchinson will take their place at the back of the grid. So the reverse grid will always make things a little more interesting. Annie McEwen, let's rock.
Here we go then, an all-area motorsport with Fast Star front rower on board with Jess Hawkins from second on the grid, but look, she has a better start than her teammate, draws level, draws ahead of Jamie Tonks. Jess Hawkins will lead them down into Old Hall Corner, and to the outside the Power Max Cupra of Jack Constable trying to slip into second place. On board here with the race 1 winner Chris Smiley, and look at the challenge ahead of him, that's Jack Depper to his right. Jack Depper started third. The start of the race is not going well for the number 33 Golf.
Not indeed, and it's going to be tricky for the drivers to sort themselves out. Again, they don't have a lot of room to play with, but Jess Hawkins has got the run from Jack Constable. A perfect start for her from the outside line and managed to find the grip. Callum Newsham holding on to third position for the moment, but Hart and Smith have already got themselves up into 4th and 5th place. A cracking start from the podium finishers from race 1. Safety car. We've had an issue somewhere behind the drivers out in the front end of the field, so the safety car has been called. And we're not entirely sure what the reason is for it yet, but Callum Newsham, settling himself into 3rd position, is obviously going to have Messrs Hart and Smith to deal with. These guys still racing by the look of it. Oh, that's why poor Kieran Griffin has ended up in the barrier.
Yeah, let's see if we can piece this together then. Kieran Griffin. Hang on. Bradley Kent has pulled over to the side of the road as well. Bradley Kent, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. And unfortunately, the younger brother of our double reigning champion, Lewis, is out of the race early at the side of the road.
That is so unfortunate. Now, let's have a look at what's happened to the young man from Birmingham on the start, Jack Depper. That doesn't sound too good. That's why he lost so many places off the start. A little bit of first gear cough syndrome there, desperately trying to get himself into a gear and managed eventually to, but by that point he'd already seen 4 or 5 cars disappear ahead of him.
Oh, look how busy it is down the avenue. He really wanted to go on the inside of Lewis Kent, had to back out. That's what allowed Chris Smiley through, and Smiley gets 2 for the price of 1. Lewis Kent falls behind him as well. And there, Adam Shepherd, who lost his power steering early on in race 1, that might explain that bouncy ride across the grass at Cascades. Looks like he's got that sorted and already making some forward progress in the early stages. Shame, though, to see Kieran Griffin out of the race. Jess Hawkins, though, having a much better start to the race. She leads the way, the first ever female driver to lead a lap in a round of the TCR UK Championship.
Well, that's it. We were so busy focusing on Jess Hawkins' start, we didn't even see Kieran Griffin get spat out to the barriers on the opening lap. But obviously, that is exactly where it happened, just off the start. So poor Kieran Griffin will have to regroup and get ready for the second round of the championship. There is Antwort Niels, the Subaru driver, manages to get himself up into 14th position. That's impressive. That's 7 places made up off the start.
It Certainly is. That is the racer in Ant coming to the fore now. This was the racer, Chris Smiley, following Max Hart through the middle. Brilliant getaway there for Chris. He threaded the eye of the needle, but now he's 3 wide into Old Hall Corner. To the outside look is Isaac Smith. He had the momentum off the turn, and Isaac had his own problems in race 1, apparently exiting right-handers, of which there are plenty at Alton Park. He was down to about 2 or 3% throttle power for the first second or so. Actually, a really good job he did to hang on to 3rd place in that first race. This, meanwhile, is what happens when you try and go 4 wide down the start-finish straight. Andy Wilmot spins to the right, Kieran Griffin spins to the left into the barriers. We're going to see it here from on board Brad Hutchinson. Just too many cars, Jake, going for too small a space.
Yeah, this is what happens. You just get too many, too close together. Fair play to Andy Wilmot. He kept it out of the pit wall on the right-hand side. And as we go green, Jess Hawkins, what a restart. She has actually pulled a couple of car lengths clear of Jack Constable. She's timed that to perfection, as now Tonks is going to really struggle to keep the motivated Chris Smiley and race 1 winner Chris Smiley behind him, but that's not going to work. Chris Smiley has already got the job done.
Yes, and crucially puts a car between himself and Lewis Kemp, but that car was Jamie Tonks, and Tonks exits stage right down at Cascades. The car didn't really want to go around the corner. He goes through the gravel trap, and he will fall to the back of the field. Now that leaves Jess Hawkins well and truly flying the flag for the team. Further back, look, Max Hart through into 3rd, Isaac Smith 4th, Callum Newsham slipping down the order, but it is still Jess Hawkins leading the way. Jack Constable, though known for being an aggressive driver, is not going to want to stay in second for long.
Yeah, that was a big twitch from Callum Newsham. That's what unsettled the car as he went through the left-hander, and unfortunately he had no choice but to let Hart and Smith go through. Now Jack Depper trying his best to try and make up for lost ground, hunting down at Bruce Winfield. He's already got past Bruce Winfield, so that is Shepherd in front of him. So they're going to battle away. There's Darrell Wilson trying to close in on the points. And then, of course, you've got Matt Wilson there and Antwort Niels, who is up to 13th. This is Joyce versus Butler. Butler, goodness me, 2 in the air and 2 on the deck. He absolutely bounces through the curbs. But this is the battle for the victory. And Jess Hawkins with a massive amount of pressure now to try and keep Jack Constable behind her. And this is not going to be easy at all. But look, she places the car exactly where she needs to, right in the middle of the road, over the top of the crest, so that there's not a lot of opportunities for Jack Constable to send one up the inside.
Chris Smiley here trying to do exactly that to Callum Newsham. This is the fight for 5th position. The leaders come across the start-finish line. Still, Hawkins leads the way. Constable 2nd. Small gap back to Max Hart, who could be the danger man in this race. He's in 3rd place, and of those that started at the back of the top 10, the podium finishes from race 1, he is the one that's made the most progress. And of course, if these two start fighting, that will be music to the ears of Max. He's already catching them, and he could get there even quicker if Jess Hawkins starts to defend.
Adam Shepherd bangs in the fastest lap, a 1:44.2. Oh, and that is Gales. He's gone off at Lodge, I'm afraid. Now, the question is, was he on his own when he did that, or was he given some assistance?
Well, there is damage to the back of the Audi, but of course he was involved in that skirmish off the start line, wasn't he? Jack Depper involved in a skirmish of his own here. Bruce Winfield, the runner-up in last year's championship, goes up the inside of the Shell hairpin and takes the place away from Jack Depper, whose father, of course, Martin, also a well-known name in touring car circles. Jack Depper made his debut in the championship last year, really enjoys the TCR competition. Bruce Winfield just that little bit quicker at the moment. Now, the front of the field, all getting more congested. Jess Hawkins and Jack Constable have Max Hart for company, and Isaac Smith starting to catch them as well.
Defensive tactics definitely needed, but look, that car is still on the exit of Lodge, so that's almost certainly going to be a safety car, and it is indeed called safety car.
Into the closing stages then of what has been a compelling second round of the TCR UK Championship. Jess Hawkins still leading the way, but it is no longer Jack Constable behind her. Jack Constable with a mechanical issue is out of the race, and that opens the door now for the impressive young Irishman Max Hart, who is a multiple podium finisher and race winner in the championship, to challenge for another victory, a much needed one. He will definitely be one of the championship contenders this year. He really wants the race win, but Jess Hawkins, Jake, is driving a sublime race, not over defending, not making any mistakes, not making it easy for Max Hart.
This is all about tactics and racecraft for Jess Hawkins. Oh, we've had a car skating off. Now, that is a very nasty time in the race for that to happen. I didn't quite see who it was, but Jess Hawkins is running out of opportunities to pull away here. Max Hart is obviously putting a lot of pressure on Jess Hawkins, but as you can see from the 360-degree camera, She is placing the car exactly where it needs to be to keep Max Hart at bay. But this is a great performance from Max Hart as well. And it's Daryl Wilson. Daryl Wilson, who skated off there at Druids and has managed to get the car back on the road again. So that's fortunately averted an issue for Daryl Wilson. But there is double waved yellows down at Cascades, because that's going to be a bit of an issue. They've got to be careful there. No overtaking, because the car is firmly wedged in the gravel trap. That looks like Rob Butler.
Yeah, Rob Butler has slid on into the gravel, so Daryl Wilson continued from Druids. Butler out of the race at Cascades. Less than 2 minutes to go, though, so I think they'll just cover those under local waved yellows. So overtaking allowed everywhere else around the circuit, just not down into Cascade. That is one less opportunity now on this lap and the next one, the last lap of the race, for Max Hart to find a way through. For Jess Hawkins, just 1.5 laps between her and history. A female driver has never won a TCR race anywhere in the world, and she's so very close to doing so. The third place battle equally as close, with Isaac Smith fending off Callum Newsham, Chris Smiley and Adam Shepherd. There's plenty to get excited about here in the closing stages.
And no woman has ever won a touring car race in Great Britain overall. They've won in class before, but never overall. So Jess Hawkins with an opportunity here in front of Max Hart. But Max Hart, I was just making the point, he's in second place again. So definitely consistency is what can win you a championship. But he wants to get past Jess Hawkins. He doesn't want to settle for the runner-up spot. He wants to go for the win. Again, pushing very hard indeed as the car goes up in the air with the rear wheel. So he is absolutely on it to try and get through on Jess Hawkins. Waved yellow flags in the final bend, though. That's for Daryl Wilson, that's parked up on the inside. So she will not lose the position there as Isaac Smith continues to run in front of Chris Smiley. Bit of a wobble there from Newsham. So Newsham is going to come through in third position, but now it's going to be very tricky for Isaac Smith to hang on as Chris Smiley has got past him, but now he's going to retaliate into Old Hall. Lovely bit of defensive driving there from Smith.
Yeah, so Smith hangs on to fourth, but Newsham through into third. I hope he got that move made before the yellow flags at Lodge Corner. Half the track at the moment, it seems, covered by local yellows. Cascade still the same, with Rob Butler's car at the side of the road. Into the final lap then, just over half a lap left for Jess Hawkins to defend this race lead. I use the word defend, but actually defensive driving is not really what's going on here. She kind of covers the inside into the shell hairpin, but she's not over defending. She's sticking to her racing line. It really is a very cool-headed, calm, sensible drive, this from Jess Hawkins, and Max Hart is running out of opportunities to get past her.
This is phenomenal from Jess Hawkins. Her racecraft has always been immaculate, no matter what kind of racing car you give her. Right from her karting days, she was always very strong and incredibly quick-witted behind the wheel. And now here in TCR UK, all she has to do is keep that car a couple of inches wider across the apex than Max Hart, and there is not going to be an inch of opportunity for Max Hart. I'm fairly sure there's still going to be yellow flags at Lodge as well. So I think Max Hart, look, he's a couple of car lengths back. He's going to run out of opportunities. I think Jess Hawkins is about to make history. She is about to become the first woman to win a touring car race in Great Britain.
And what a drive she's put in to do it as well. One more good corner, one more clean exit is all that's required for the Area Motorsport with Fast R driver. Jess Hawkins has done it from second on the grid. She will win round number 2 of the TCR UK Championship and make history as she does so. Max Hart, though, Mr. Consistency is there in second place, scoring good points. Callum Newsham gets third late on, whilst Isaac Smith fends off the race 1 winner, Chris Smiley, who can manage only 5th by the flag. Still plenty of battling going on further back. This is all just outside of the top 10. Russell Joyce there in 12th place hangs on to the position just ahead of the youngest driver in the championship, 17-year-old Scott Sumpton.
And Warden Hills has a problem coming home. He only just managed to make it across the line. But look at Jess Hawkins, and the fans are very appreciative of it. That is going to send a shockwave through British motorsport, through world motorsport, in fact. Max Hart in second place behind her. Newsham, Smith, Smiley and Kent in the top 6. From Jack Depper, Adam Shepherd, Brad Hutchinson, and rounding out the top 10, Matt Wilson. What a drive.
Yeah, fantastic drive that from Jess Hawkins. What a way to start off the season. Max Hart will be happy, I think, with second place. As I said, he'll be thinking championship, he'll be thinking points, but some really great battles up and down the field there, even outside the top 10. I think the future is very bright. A great season in store.
I'm not usually lost for words, but I've got to say, the whole of that race was just one of the best things I've ever seen here, and I know what it's like to win here, and that was a special, special moment, wasn't it?
Paul, as I said to you earlier, it's been a long time since I've felt that feeling, and it is worth every blood, sweat and tears that go into it. I'm just so happy. I'm extremely happy to be here. Very thankful to my sponsor, Farstar, and a massive also thank you to Airy Motorsport.
Well, I think you've said it all there, but one thing I was going to say is I remember an on-board of you winning in Mini Challenge at Snetterton, so I've got a memory like that. I can only imagine what it was like in the car crossing the line, but one of the good things is all your friends over there, your fans, I know what it's like to have fans, one of the things was to see all of the teams over the pit lane wall giving it the big one, and it was amazing to see, wasn't it?
Yeah, I actually know what video you mean actually, and there's you want to see this one. Paul, it's a tough grid this year, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to walk away from it, so I'm not disillusioned to think that, you know, we're just going to walk away with it now. Initially we struggled for pace, but found an issue after race 1, and if that's been hindering us all the time, then we're looking good form for the championship moving forward. But it's a tough championship, and we just take it weekend by weekend. Spot on.
Well, listen, it was one of the best drives I've seen for a long, long time, and the defending was textbook, so well done to you. See you at Donington.
Thank you, Paul.
You're a thinker and you're a good man, because there's a lot of people I know who would have just fired into the driver in front for the lead.
Yeah, certainly I had there was a couple of opportunities that I went for, but I think the wise move was to sort of play it safe. I started 9th and I got all the way up into 2nd, and in doing that I destroyed my tyres, so there wasn't too much opportunity, but I think it was a wise decision just to take the points, and I think I'm championship leader now, so it's worked out well.
Callum Newsham, I used to race against your dad. He was never as good as you.
Was he not? I think he's decent. But yeah, no, that was a good race. I think I got lucky with the Jack and Isaac pulling over. But yeah, I'm happy with P3.
First weekend in the car, podium. Can't have gone any better, can it?
No, I wanted to get a podium, but I didn't actually think I would get one, to be fair. Don't tell my dad that. But yeah, I'm happy with that.
How did the car feel? How was the balance? The race run okay? You stayed out of trouble. There was a bit of trouble out there, though, but you stayed out of it.
Yeah, well, we worked on the setup, but I'm still getting a bit of understeer. I think we need to dial that out a bit, and then we'll be a bit faster with the high-speed stuff. So, yeah, it was good.
Top man. Well, listen, we'll see you at Donington. Well done, and send Dave, your dad, my best.
I will. Cheers, thank you.
Let's see then what that means for the championship standings. Well, Max Hart didn't win a race, but he's 3 points clear of Chris Smiley in the early championship standings. Isaac Smith third ahead of Jess Hawkins and Callum Newsham. Lewis Kent, the double reigning champion, is sixth ahead of Jack Depper, Bruce Winfield, Adam Shepherd and Jack Constable to round out the top 10 despite that race 2 DNF. Matthew Wilson is next ahead of Jamie Tonks, Brad Hutchinson, Russell Joyce, Scott Sumpton, Darryl Wilson and Antwort Neals, making it 17 drivers who score points at the opening round.
Well, that's it from Oulton Park and the TCR UK Series. What a weekend. A historic weekend. Fantastic racing, great race wins. It was all there as the series heads on to Donington Park UK. We'll see you there next time.